5 News alert in Marietta, where police are looking for the person responsible for firing into a home. Police say over the past 2 days, a gunman has riddled this townhouse door with bullets. This is located in Queensboro Square. Investigators tell us the shooter seems to have only targeted this one home. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but police consider the suspect to be armed and dangerous. Police say they have not determined a motive. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers.
This morning, they're searching for this man, wanted for fatally stabbing 24-year-old Brianna Kupfer, a UCLA grad student working at a furniture store, when police say she was randomly attacked. They say this surveillance video shows the suspect moments later in the alley behind the store.
Keeping a close eye out, because there is a lot of transients that come through.
That same day, a 70-year-old nurse, Sandra Shells, waiting for a bus in downtown Los Angeles, was attacked by a man police believe was homeless. She later died from her injuries.
It's sad. It's sad to hear, getting ready to retire, and this is what happens.
In Los Angeles, about 10% of the nearly 400 homicides in 2021 had a homeless suspect, and homicides were up more than 50% compared to 2019 before the pandemic.
I just think that there's a lot of people that are out there on the streets that are homeless that really need help. They need to be seen and evaluated.
Meanwhile, in New York City, the nation's largest subway system is plagued by a rise in violent crime, and police say many of the attackers are homeless.
On the other end of her sister's phone,
we talked every day, throughout the day, in between phone calls, text messages.
She was your person?
She was my person. We raised our kids together, so yeah, this is very hard.
Early Friday morning before dawn, her family says Tamiko Talbert was doing what she's done every Friday morning for years.
She'd do her same routine every Friday and Saturday, early at the crack of dawn so she could get into work and get out.
What'd she do?
She was a hairstylist. She had the early bird clients that come early. 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
As Talbert looked for a parking space, police say a dark Dodge Durango pulled alongside her car at 71st and Artesian, fired, and sped off.
My big sister, she called, and she was just sounding broken. I couldn't even, get my brain to wrap around what she was telling me.
She's been going to the same salon for over 20 years. She's never had a problem, ever. Everybody in that area knew that this is what she does.
At least 10 people were shot and killed in Chicago last week, including 2 14-year-old boys and a pregnant mother shot and killed while sitting in her car just a few miles from where gunmen hit Tamika Talbert early Friday morning.
Pastor and his wife are under investigation by local and state authorities after fire responders discovered elderly people locked inside the basement of their home. As Fox 5's Doug Evans reports, that pastor is charged with false imprisonment as the investigation continues.
From outward appearances, everything seems perfectly normal at this Griffin home on Valley Road. Neighbors tell Fox 5 the house had unusually large amounts of trash to pick up, but everything else appeared okay.
Things seemed generally fine. Have not noticed anything, like I said, other than the trash.
Griffin police say they've arrested Curtis Bankston, the homeowner, who they say is a local pastor at a church called One Step of Faith Second Chance. He's accused of false imprisonment. First responders were called to the home last Thursday because of a person having a seizure. EMS says they discovered 8 individuals locked in the basement against their will in what state investigators now say was an unlicensed care home. Police say Bankston and his wife had control of the individual's finances and medications. State investigators have been called in because of what police deemed neglect and abuse that they say was both frightening and disgusting. Apparently, the residents weren't always locked in. Kim Brooks says she recently assisted one of them.
The individual that was lost was an elderly man, and he was on a walker, pushing a walker, and so he's trying to manage.
County, though, where deputies say a man killed his own father-in-law in front of a teenager. Fox 13's Kimberly Quizon joins us now live tonight from Manatee County Sheriff's Office. Hi there, Kim. So the sheriff said all 3 were related?
Yes, Mark. Manatee County deputies here say the 15-year-old is the stepson of the man who was shot and killed. Now, his name is not being released due to Marsy's Law, but Manatee County deputies say Ruben Piaquinto threatened the teen, saying he'd kill him as well if he told.
Is this another senseless, cold-blooded killing?
Manatee County deputies believe it began with an argument between 29-year-old Ruben Piaquinto and his 33-year-old father-in-law. The pair, along with Piaquinto's 15-year-old brother-in-law, went for a drive. They were gone about 2 hours when Sheriff Rick Wells says while at Circle K, Piaquinto pulled a gun.
Shoots the victim while inside the truck, point-blank range, cold-blood killing right in front of this 15-year-old.
Sheriff Wells says Piaquinto then drove to a remote area, 77th Street East in Palmetto, dumped his father-in-law's body, and threatened to kill the teen if he told anyone what happened.
He took the suspect at his word. He had already seen what he's capable of doing.
Returning home, Piaquinto passed out, and family members called 911, concerned for the 33-year-old. A short standoff took place before Piaquinto was placed in handcuffs as the teen led deputies to his stepfather's body.
Veronica Meadows joins us live tonight, and Veronica, this is just a horrific story.
Yeah, the devastation and grief for this family is just beginning. Now, adding to their heartbreak, investigators made a gruesome discovery in the mom's disappearance. Investigators say they found Latima Warren's remains scattered around her home.
She was just a sweet, bubbly young lady, you know. She'd give you really the shirt off her back.
Gwen Parks remembers the happy times. She says her loved one, Latima Warren, was a mom of 4 with a sweet soul. But now Parks has to have an unimaginable conversation.
And I have to tell these kids. Their mother was killed.
Parks is the mom of Warren's ex and the grandma of their older kids. Parks says she first knew something wasn't right when she stopped by Warren's and her boyfriend's home near Tireman and Vaughn on Detroit's west side last month.
He told me he hadn't seen Tima in 4 days, and you didn't call anyone, you didn't say anything to anyone.
So Parks filed a missing persons report, put up flyers, and called police every day.
I still want to know. Let her know. When it's all said and done, I did not give up looking for her, and I knew she was out there.
Shot on the front porch of a family member's home. Police say the man was knocking on their door. It is our top story, first at 4. Good afternoon to you. I'm Daniel Miller.
And I'm Dan Spieler. Legal experts tell us a specific state law could determine whether anyone faces charges in this case. Fox 59's Jesse Wells explains how.
Family members tell me the shooter and the victim in this case are related. At the same time, police are still investigating whether or not the shooting at this home behind me was criminal or not. Just before sunrise, here on South Emerson, police believe a man began loudly knocking on a family member's door when someone inside the home opened fire.
The person who is the victim here was known to the people that lived inside the residence. So trying to determine exactly what happened and what led up to this.
Victim, who was shot in the doorway, died after being rushed to the hospital. Police claim at least 2 people were inside the home at the time. Right now, it's not clear whether any words or threats were exchanged leading to the gunfire.
I do know that the person had came to the residence and was knocking on the door. What happened in between there is still under investigation.
Standing there and knocking is not enough to indicate you're going to intrude or break into a house.
It will make you cringe. It shows a man being run over by a car. It looks bad, but the man survived, and he talked to Fox 5's Denise Dillon tonight.
All of this happened in this parking lot right here. Jeff Whitmire is the man who was hit. He was out at a bar with some friends when the chaos broke out. He says he remembers everything, right up to the point where he was under the car.
My vehicle was parked down this way, You're watching surveillance video, but Jeff Whitmire watched in person as the driver in this silver SUV backed into his car, then someone's truck. Whitmire ran through the parking lot to stop the vehicle and made eye contact with the driver.
He had a look of rage on his face, and I turned and tried to make a run for the front porch. He gassed it, ran me over, dragging up from right here.
Others saw what happened. One man reached into the car and put it in park. Whitmire managed to get to safety before the driver hit a couple of more cars and took off. He's still in shock when he watches the video.
Seeing how close my head came to the driver's side tire and how it could have a definite alternate ending.
Whitmire was rushed to the hospital with injuries to his head, back, abdomen, and knee. He says even the doctor was surprised it wasn't worse.
He said that he didn't know what to say, given the circumstances and what happened to me. There was no concussion, no broke bones, so it's clearly an act of God.
2 weeks later, this past Friday, Whitmire says the driver came back to the bar. The manager recognized him. Police were called. Whitmire says he's frustrated because before the weekend was over, the driver was no longer in custody.
I just want him to my vehicle, the damage to vehicles he caused in the parking lot.
When the driver came back this past Friday, Whitmire was here too and got to see him face to face.
It takes a special kind of demon to just go out and just snuff people, take 6 people's lives.
It's not yet known who's responsible for a horrible crime inside a Milwaukee home. 6 bodies found dead over the weekend. That is our big story at 5. Family members sharing memories and disbelief after those bodies were discovered at 21st and Wright.
Really, it has left more questions than answers at this point. We have team coverage tonight. Aaron Maven with reaction with a neighbor and community leaders. But we're going to start with Brett Lemoyne, who has the latest on the investigation. Brett?
Yeah, well, Ted and Mary, since last night, Milwaukee police have only updated us saying that, yes, in fact, there were 6 bodies that were found inside that home yesterday, and it appears all 6 of them were shot. Now, family members of 2 of the victims we spoke with say even they aren't sure of the identity of some of the bodies. Numb with grief.
Am I in a movie? Like, this is not real.
Tiffany Whittington remembers her cousin, 49-year-old Michelle Williams. She says Williams is among the 6 people found dead inside this home near 21st and Wright. Family grew concerned late last week when they hadn't heard from her.
When they got there, honestly, they said the smell, the stench was just so overpowering, and the neighbors said that they had been smelling it for a few days.
Williams was killed alongside her husband, Michael Williams, also identified by family. On Sunday, police said 5 bodies were discovered after a welfare check earlier in the day.
The motive and information regarding any involved suspects is not known to us right now.
Hours later, the medical examiner's office confirmed a 6th body inside. Police say the woman and 5 men appear to have been shot. As of Monday afternoon, one of the victims remained unidentified.
There's still bodies that we don't know. They could be other family members that we just have not, got a hold of or don't know who's missing.
Neighbors describe the Williamses as hardworking and friendly people.
There is no information to suggest that there is a threat to the community.
Milwaukee police continue to investigate, leaving more questions than answers for this family.
A 90-year-old woman is recovering after getting attacked in a violent home invasion. It happened in Patterson in New Jersey. That's in Passaic County. Police say she was beaten in her bed and may have been targeted. CBS 2's Natalie Duddridge spoke to the grandmother this afternoon.
It was like horrible. You can't run, you can't move.
Mary Veronelli still has 2 black eyes from an attack she suffered in the middle of the night on January 14th. She was asleep in her bed when she heard her back window smash, then saw a man come into her room.
Started beat me, dragged me out of bed, and was pounding me.
Veronelli managed to grab her phone and tried to call 911 and her son, and the suspect took off. She was hospitalized for a week and had to get 20 staples on her head. She was finally well enough to be released to her son's home, where she's now recovering. He says the strangest part is nothing was stolen.
He didn't take any money, simply beat her just to beat her.
Veronelli's son said he can only think of one person who's ever had an issue with his mother.
The person used to help my mom out, and they had a conflict because of some money missing, and we just think that maybe he needs to be interviewed and some questions asked.
Police haven't made any arrests, but Patterson's mayor says officers may be zeroing in on a suspect.
They're making progress, but it appears to be an isolated...
Was shot and killed today right near his school. The young man, just 17 years old. Action News reporter George Solis live for us tonight at police headquarters with the latest on this investigation into this teen who was killed today. George.
Sorry, late this evening, family members stopped by the scene. None of them wanted to talk on camera. You can see they were visibly upset. Investigators are hopeful security cameras outside of the school will help them track down a killer. Tonight, members of one Southwest Philadelphia community are in mourning.
That's terrible. It's just terrible. You know, it's got to be some accountability.
Many at a loss for words over the fatal shooting of a Bartram High School senior who was gunned down earlier this afternoon. Police identified the victim as 17-year-old Christopher Braxton.
He left around dismissal time, and shortly thereafter, not far from the school, is where he was shot in the chest. Now, right now, we don't have a motive.
The teen was rushed to Penn Presbyterian, where he died. Police said a number of witnesses were also taken to homicide for questioning. School District of Philadelphia officials said they were made aware of the shooting and subsequent death.
Police are now trying to piece together the final moments that left a driver on the Bronx River Parkway dead.
Was it road rage or something else? CBS 2's Alice Gaynor has the story.
Tuesday night, police responded to a multi-car crash near the Bronx River Parkway and 177th Street just after 9 p.m. Inside a gray Acura sedan with Georgia plates, they found 25-year-old Jawan Joseph unresponsive with a gunshot wound to the back. He was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead.
25 years old. He had his whole future in front of him, and they just gun him down for nothing.
Kenny Joseph is Jawan's shocked and heartbroken father.
He had to go buy something and come back. I messaged him and asked him if he's good. He messaged me back. He said, yeah, I'm good. Next thing I know, 3 o'clock in the morning, police knocking on my door telling me my son got shot.
Joseph says he can't understand what happened.
I went over there, looked like they shot him on the Bronx River Parkway, and he barely made it off the highway and just veered off to the side.
His son, the eldest of 3, worked alongside him as a union carpenter in Manhattan and played soccer and cricket. They came here 10 years ago from Antigua. Police say Jawan has no prior criminal record.
My kid is a good kid. He goes from work to home. He's not on the street. He has nothing going on out there. Nothing at all. Nothing. He has no beef, nothing with nobody out there.
Police say the gunman took off. So far, no arrests. Police sources say
this suspect, Monel Coleman, followed a woman home and shot at her after she had accidentally bumped into him at a grocery store in Coatesville. The woman told police she apologized, but the suspect got very angry, followed her home, and then opened fire, and she was hit, struck in the leg. Her brother was also hit by gunfire and taken to the hospital. Coleman is wanted for attempted murder.
Is in critical condition multiple times in a drive-by shooting. According to relatives, the 55-year-old victim was not the intended target. And as Fox 5's Brian Hill reports, Clayton County Police want your help to figure out who's responsible for this latest violent crime.
Clayton County Police found 55-year-old Keisha Newton in the driveway here behind me where you see this white sedan. Her sister tells me she's currently at Grady Memorial Hospital preparing for her 4th surgery following Tuesday night's shooting. A relative tells us 55-year-old Keisha Newton was inside her car outside of this home when someone began shooting off multiple rounds around 7:30. Take a look at this white sedan in the driveway. You can see most of the windows are shattered from bullets.
I heard multiple gunshots. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And I heard a few more, and I told the kids to get down.
This is video from Tuesday night's shooting along Wagoner Place near Red School. We spoke with several neighbors who asked that we not show their face out of fear.
That was pretty new to me. I never really heard gunshots much or nothing like that.
Newton's sister tells me she was shot 8 times.
I heard sound like about 20 rounds to my right that was further down the street.
By the time Clayton County Police arrived to the house, investigators found her laying in the driveway between 3 vehicles. Glass is still here in the driveway. Newton's loved ones believe this was a random act of violence. Another neighbor also told me her car was hit by a bullet.
It's very sad and disturbing to hear of something like that happening in the subdivision, which is